Why did I leave Turkey to come to the UK? I would summarize it, a family habit, which I got from my dad, always improve. He was always pushing me to improve myself. And I'm from a small island, Cyprus, and that motivation brought me Turkey to study medicine and then became a surgeon. And the same motivation brought me in UK. I was in between UK and US and also having a bit of family problems at time. So it was a mix of chasing my dreams and try to escape from the problems actually. So when I came to UK first time, to be honest, I was quite broken, both heartbroken, financial problems, and because of my family problems on top, that was probably the roughest time in my life. And trying to adapt my family and myself in that situation was really, really challenging. And as a person, I always try to keep my family above anything else. But when you have problems, when you have financial problems, when you have psychological problems, you can't just balance that. And probably it's better to explain why I had all those problems, as I was expecting to study, as I was expecting to start working immediately as soon as I arrived. But as soon as I found out that my certificates and diplomas and all my training, which was like 15 years of training I had in Turkey, is not legible, is not like legit in this country, because it's not in European community. That was the biggest shock in my life. And I was broken, and I lost all my motivation at the first day in UK. So when I left Turkey, I was like full of dreams, full of plans, and because I'm like really good at chess, I would like to see what will happen in like next month, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. And I was planning like so many things, the business, how I start a business, how I settle with my family, how can we grow up and improve together. And as soon as I arrived and applied to some job positions, so in NHS hospitals, etc., I got an answer like, your certificates, training is not recognized in this country. And I remember I was like holding my hand, looking up and trying to understand what they're trying to say. Am I reading it wrong? Am I reading it right? Is it like real? Because I spent like 15 years, at least 13 years, to be able to become a very experienced surgeon. And in Turkey, believe me, when you graduated, you should be really, really experienced and like proper surgeon. And when you feel that confidence and when you're ready to start and something happens, like it's like a rocket is about to blow and someone kind of comes like just extinguishing the fire. So I felt like very confused, broken, and tried to find my way through, and I started to follow the guidelines. What should I do? When I was reading the guidelines, there were like 40 pages of guidelines. You should do this, do that, and there was nobody else that they could help me. And so many email trafficking, so many phone traffics, etc. And finally, in a couple of weeks' time, that I understood that I needed to start all over again. And that time, we were like being in touch with my family in Cyprus. They were asking me how's things, and that time my mom's health wasn't like good, and she had a heart attack, etc. I didn't want to give them any kind of bad news, and I was like telling them, oh, don't worry, I'm okay. And every time my dad was asking me, I mean, do you need money? Do you need anything? I was like, no, don't worry, Dad, I'm fine, don't worry, just I'll be good, I'm taking care of everything. And the money that I saved in Turkey was started to drain and drain and drain, and at that time there was another, I wouldn't say shock, but there was another big responsibility that I needed to take care of, which was my first daughter. Came in the middle of this situation, and it was like, okay, I thought the God must have a plan with me, because I started with a very good training, very good career in Turkey, and I became a very good surgeon. Like, everyone was begging for me to stay in there for like the professor positions, etc. And I wanted to come here, and all those problems on top of a baby's responsibilities, etc. I was feeling like compressed from many angles. And I needed to pray. I needed to think about a proper strategy to go through this mess. And I couldn't find any, because there was no money, no job, and being a surgeon and being jobless. And at that time we were like living in a studio flat, which is not bigger than this room now, models dumped everywhere, and couldn't fit myself in that situation, and I couldn't find the way out. And that time I spoke to Dad, and then I said, Dad, look, don't tell anything to Mom, but I'm not well, so I need help. In coming there, please find me a ticket, so I'll be there. And then I left to Cyprus, and I stayed for 9 months without seeing my kid. And that 9 months I tried to survive in Cyprus to see if I can just find somewhere here and then bring everyone in here. But going back to that small island with so many potential and so many big plans didn't work either. And I said, whatever it takes, I will go back and I will survive. And when I came back, I started to study again all these exams, and because on the guidelines there was a huge folder that you needed to complete the exams again, and it took about 18 months to finalize all the paperwork, exams, and get my registration. And meanwhile, during these 18 months, because of when you don't have any money, or when you have so many problems, you argue a lot. That's the fact. And seeing a baby and knowing that you can't provide everything else she needs is putting you under pressure, and mix of everything. So many arguments, like big arguments. Sometimes even police needed to arrive to just calm me down and just take me away. And I remember, I will never ever forget that Ladybell Park, which I slept for 2 days in there. And sometimes I pass through there and through the station, that I just stop for a while and think again. And that time I really understood how people can just end their lives without just it's like a switch, you can just turn it off. And I was thinking that time, if I heard like someone killed himself or herself or just commit suicide, I was like, oh, come on, they're like weak people. And I just was in that situation. It's like a blink, it could happen anytime. So finally, didn't happen. Survived and just managed to get my own registrations and the paperwork, the full license to practice in UK, and then started to do NHS jobs for a couple of months, and then started to save some money, and then found like 1-bedroom flat, etc. Of course, this is like a fast summary of everything, but when I remember those times, I have just still have the goosebumps. I can never imagine myself coming from a very, how can I say, I can't fit myself in this situation, finishing my training, starting my career immediately with a nice clinic, a Porsche car, nice suite and everything is ready, so you just walk in. So I could never fit myself in there because it never happened. And so 100% having all those problems and improving all time definitely made me a different person. So even when I walk on the street, even with the beggars, I have some jokes like drinks, whatever, because I know what they feel, and I know this sense of, I know that feeling of, like, you know, the broken, not with the heart broken, that's completely broken.
Empathy.
So empathy, which is very important in this job. If you don't have the empathy, you can't be a good surgeon, you can't be a good doctor, you can't take care of any person. You have to have the empathy. So I think like having that motivation, like improving, please improve, please improve, please improve, you deserve this, you deserve better, and having my motivation in me from that or family, and so didn't give up as well. So it brought me to this point, I guess. If I didn't experience all these problems, I wouldn't be able to, because sometimes when you're dealing with something, you have different type of people coming every day, different levels. I mean, in this life, there's a fact that you're living on different levels, and you have to be able to be a proper doctor, a proper surgeon, you have to manage. You have to have the ability to manage all kinds of levels, and sometimes you need to raise up your level, or you need to just lower your level to have the same empathy like a patient. And so I think I will be able to do that anytime, because I started from the very bottom and now I'm climbing up. So I know how it feels, I know what kind of feeling to be on that level, and if someone comes in on that level which needs help, I can help better. I can tell somebody who feels the same, who has the same circumstances, and who wants to succeed, who has the potential. First thing to do is never ever lose belief in themselves, and never lose motivation, and never give up. This will sound like a cliche, but when I say never give up, there will be points, there will be a time that they will lose their motivation, they will lose their beliefs to themselves, and at that time, all they need to do, or what I did, is start to think, where are you coming from, and where are the chances, what is the possibilities that you can achieve if I survive now. So if I survive this moment, what can happen? What can I achieve? So they will be able to switch that mindsetting off, to think about what they can have, think about what you can achieve without having that feeling of failing. So once you stuck in the position that you can't just move forward, and you feel like whatever I do, it doesn't work. If they give up that time, they will never be able to achieve that. They will never be able to move forward. So if you're gonna fall, just fall forward. But never stay there. You just need to stand up, thinking about next day or the things ahead. But if you stay at that position, if you're gonna fall, just try to fall forward. It means you will have an improvement. So that's what I was thinking. Like every time I think that I'm broken, I can't. This is over. I just need to go back. then I was trying to switch off that mindset thing and think about, okay, what if I achieve, what if I improve, what if I manage a way to find a way to succeed? Yeah, like we were hearing about Harley Street even when I was in Turkey. So we were hearing about Beverly Hills, we were hearing about Harley Street and the popular places that the top surgeons are like working and practicing. And when I came to UK without applying anything, I remember I took a bus and then stopped there on the Oxford Street and I was looking for Harley Street. I was asking people, where's Harley Street, where's Harley Street? And I just stopped in front of the traffic lights and was trying to figure out how long is the street. Is it a long street, goes to the very end of London, or if it's just a short? And I walked down the street. I was looking at the clinics and I was thinking, one day, I will be in one of these clinics. And I was laughing myself because it was a dream. Because I was watching the expensive cars sitting in front of the clinics there, and it's like, okay, that's a Harley Street car. And after I got my qualification, I mean, it disappeared for a while, for sure. But then after I got my qualifications, it started to appear again in my mind. And of course, having a clinic in here needs money, needs a career, which wasn't there in the beginning. So I needed to start from very far away from Harley Street in North London, and with a small clinics, and then try to spread the reputation, word of mouth. So helping people at each time.
And speaking of helping people, what would you say are the most common reasons for why people actually come and see you?
Yeah, especially I would say the kids and their families, because in Turkey we were dealing with at least 300 patients a day, and it was a huge crowded city, and the hospital that I trained was in the central, and it was the biggest hospital in whole Turkey, and we were having patients like rain, and the multitasking level is the highest level of any surgeon or doctor in Turkey. It's enormous capability of multitasking. So, and in here when I was sitting and didn't see more than 5 patients a day, I was walking around chatting people and just introducing myself and trying to see if they need something, especially the kids. And the kids, unfortunately, NHS is very, very saturated here, and as they don't have enough numbers of doctors, I guess, there are so many patients and kids suffering, even with just simple upper respiratory tract, like tonsillitis, for example. They suffer to have an antibiotic. And in that time, that small clinic that we had, that I worked actually for another doctor, I was telling them let's do an advert on the paper. So we have a free day on Saturday, so we can have at least 30 to 40 kids that we can just examine for free. And it started nicely actually, and we created a nice concept about Turkish doctors can be successful in UK as well. And then we started to attract more Turkish patients living in London. And then those Turkish patients were telling about us to their neighbors, and then we started to have other nations coming as well for their kids for free. And actually that was the main start of my career, to be known well in that community there.
And what do you think are the most common What are the most common reasons now people come to you at Harley
You know,
Street?
at Harley Street.
Yeah.
Of course, we started with kids and more like health problems, lung problems, like infections, etc. But when I moved in Harley Street, the practice changed a bit towards aesthetics, and I would say 70–80% of my patients now coming to see me is about plastic surgery. Probably mainly rhinoplasty, facelifts, etc. And it's getting more popular every day.
Yeah.
Plastic surgery, and we're living in a world, social media, cinema, papers, they're all like flashing these plastic surgeries, aesthetic treatments, and it's getting more popular and popular. So I would say the aesthetics. I mean, I can't think about any unusual stuff because like everything is possible now. Tell me which is not possible with the surgery or medicines, or everything is possible, and I don't think I can be surprised by any request now, to be honest, because we had a lot of amazing requests. Of course, I had a couple of dreams about my career, and one of them was definitely being an actor. In Hollywood, of course. Like if you ask this question to like 100 men, probably 95 of them would say the same. But I started with that dream. But when I came to 17, 18, then I started to visit my dad's clinic. And he's a very good maxillofacial surgeon in Cyprus, and that changed my whole career plan. Because the way he was like talking to his patients, and the way his patients were talking to him with respect, and you know, that relationship with love and respect, that changed my career goals. I just said I want this kind of respect, and I just want to give that kind of happiness to that person I'm dealing with. Of course, I can still have the dream being in Hollywood, which is
Who knows?
who knows.
Yeah. So the last question I want to ask you is just for somebody who is interested in becoming a doctor, what advice would you give?
The first thing,
Yeah.
I would love to help. I would love to guide. I would have meeting or Skype meeting, whatever, doesn't matter which country.
So,
If anybody is interested in being a doctor and like suffering or stuck, I would love to guide. I would love to support. I would love to share my experience, and if I help, I would be like honored to touch someone's life. And that's why I'm trying to be a very, very good trainer, because I can't keep things in myself. I just need to share and to evolve together. And if someone just comes and asks, like, can you please guide me? Can you please just help me? I would love to do that.
yeah, and I think it's quite refreshing to see a doctor of your stature as well being able to be so socially conscious and socially aware, you know, about, you know, not only what is going on around here, but on a wider
I think that's because of the experiences I had, obviously, and this is my job, and I never let my job to be my life. So I'd love to enjoy my life with my loved ones, and to have another kind of social life going well alongside my work. And that's why I'd love to go out, I'd love to go to theaters, cinemas, and just listening to music. And so I would suggest the life needs to be separated by the job. If you manage to separate it and balance them, that's how you can succeed. That's how it happens. What's the future? I'm planning to be a very well-known trainer globally because we just recently created and developed virtual reality training, which was the first thing in the world actually. And so we designed a training model with virtual reality which helps users to have the ability to study the procedure without being in the theater, and they will be able to watch the procedure from any angle, and they will be able to study the anatomy at the same time. So this was the first thing in the world, so we're trying to spread the word in US as well, in China, Europe and UK. So I would say I see myself being a reputable trainer to share my experience and knowledge with the junior doctors. Okay, so I'm Dr. Deniz. I'm a facial plastic surgeon based in Harley Street. I'm from Cyprus. I'm 36.
Yeah.
And I would love to collaborate with Roadworks Media, and I really want to see how it looks on the screen.